Adriana and
Simone. Hi.
We're both Fresh from the Theater. Today we are going to tell you our top 10 of 2014. I really loved a lot of movies this year. It was really hard to make a top 10 list, and I had to cut so many movies out of my top 10 list. I'm going to let Simone start us off with your number 10.
So my top 10 is Fury. I was not expecting to like this film as much as I did, but it just really hit me emotionally, and everybody in this movie was so good in their role.
Yeah, I agree.
Shia LaBeouf was so good. Brad Pitt, he's 50?
And his
hair, yeah. There's no way you went through a war and your hair looks that good. Yeah, Fury makes my list.
Cool. Alright, my number 10 is Obvious Child. I really, really loved this unconventional romantic comedy. It stars Jenny Slate, who really needs to be in more stuff. It's basically a romantic comedy about a girl who has a one-night stand. She's a stand-up comedian, and she gets pregnant and has an abortion, and it's I don't know, everyone was talking about it as if it was this movie about abortion, and I don't really feel that it is. I just feel like that's an aspect of the plot, but at its heart, it was more this coming-of-age story, and it dealt with something that was taboo. You don't usually see abortion handled so lightly, but that's kind of why I guess it was kind of almost groundbreaking in that way. But to me, just as a film overall, just forgetting about that factor, it was just such a funny, warm-hearted, and really touching film that I really kind of connected to, and it moved me. I had expectations for it, but I was really blown away watching it, even more than I ever expected. So,
well, my number 9 is The Theory of Everything. There's really nothing I didn't like about this movie. The score,
I liked it a lot too, actually.
The lead actors, amazing. Eddie Redmayne was definitely
Stephen Hawking.
But yeah, this movie was great.
My number 9 is a movie that I've been very supportive of ever since I saw it at TIFF more than a year ago. It's Palo Alto. Palo Alto is the directorial debut of Gia Coppola. She's related to Sofia Coppola and that whole family, but I think this piece really stands alone from the fact that she's from this really acclaimed family of directors and actors. She has a very distinguished voice in this first film of hers, and it's based on the short story collection by James Franco, except it's weaved into one narrative. It's just this movie about teenagers and the shitty, stupid things that they do. But it's got this really moody tone to it, and it's very artful in its direction, and it's kind of really hard-hitting, and these kids are all dealing with really adult issues, and I mean, they don't always handle it so gracefully, but it was just, I thought it was a very compelling look at teen life and the kind of things that teenagers go through, and it's probably one of my favorite teen movies that I've seen in a really long time. So I really loved Palo Alto.
My number 8 is X-Men Days of Future Past. This movie was badass. This was everything you wanted it to be in the X-Men series. I loved seeing the young versions of themselves mixed with the
old yeah, that was really
so
cool.
Good. They were so well casted. It was
the casting was awesome.
Michael Fassbender, so amazing. Yeah, this movie was pretty perfect for me.
Alright, my number 8 is Mommy. Mommy is a French-Canadian film by Xavier Dolan. Except I've never said his name like that. I always say Xavier Dolan. This is me trying to be correct.
I feel like I have to say it like that now. I love Xavier? Him so much, I have to say his name like that.
This film is about the relationship between a mother and a son, and the son has a behavior disorder, and it's just kind of their home life. It also includes this subplot kind of their neighbor who also has gone through some traumatic events, and how the three of them kind of become this odd family, and the relationship that they have, and all of the bad and good things that they go through together. And it's a great story, but it's also just so stylistic in how it's portrayed. There's the 1:1 ratio aspect, which is kind of, no one has ever done that before in a movie, and his use of music has always been top notch. It has so many, it's punctuated with so many amazing moments that are so touching and so memorable, and it's a film that will really stay with you.
Number 7. I think it's my most controversial choice of the list. The Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies. I love this movie, okay? Haters gonna hate. It was just mostly, like, nostalgic reasons. It's, like, the last one ever. So I guess it was sad like that in that way. But yeah, this movie was great. I loved it.
My number 7 of the year is the film that changed my list last minute, Winter Sleep. It's a very deep character study of this man. He runs a hotel in Turkey. He used to be an actor, and it's kind of just about him and the conflicts that arises within his family, and specifically a problem that he has with a tenant of his property. And it's like a 3-hour, 15-minute movie, but it never felt long to me. I just was really into it the whole time. It's got really, really sharp dialogue and these long scenes, a lot of bantering, a lot of argument scenes between this main character and his sister and with his wife. I just was so drawn into this story, and it's a very philosophical in the debates that these characters are having about, like, what constitutes evil and stuff that's, like, what does it mean to, like, to help another person, and a bunch of, like, really grand thematic things that I found just really interesting and was just played out so brilliantly, and the film was just so well made, and I was so into it, and I really liked it.
Well, my number 6 is Birdman. And I definitely was not expecting to like this movie as much as I did. I just thought it was going to be really pretentious, and I don't really know what I was expecting, but it was great. It was just an easy, fun watch to me. He plays this superhero Birdman, right?
He used to, yeah.
He used to. In the movie, he plays this guy who's an actor who played Birdman, and now he's, like, washed up, kind of, trying to revitalize his career because he doesn't want to be forgotten, basically. He wants to be immortalized as a celebrity. And I just thought the concept was cool and great acting again.
My number 6 is Force Majeure. Force Majeure is a Swedish dark comedy about a family who are vacationing in France. It looks as though there's an avalanche happening, and the family is, like, kind of in the midst of this, and the father runs away and ditches his family and does not try to rescue them. But it doesn't end up being actually an avalanche.
So infuriating.
It's basically a commentary on masculinity and the man's role to be the hero. This man is just kind of emasculated by the situation and embarrassed and can't even come to terms with it himself, and the arguments that arise from what happened, not even just because he left them, but because he won't admit it.
It's just so funny.
It's like really, really funny. For me, I felt actually uncomfortable watching it because of how awkward, like, it really, really portrayed the awkwardness of the situation to the most extent that it possibly could have, because I was just like, you don't know whether to laugh or, like, to cringe or just to feel like it's, like, almost like you shouldn't be there watching this, but it's so smart and such a great concept, especially, like, in today's day and age, and when gender is, like, such a thing to talk about right now, and how men aren't really, that topic just doesn't really ever get covered, I guess. I feel like this is such an original idea for a movie, and it's just executed so well, and the acting is so great by everyone in the movie, and I really, really loved it.
Okay, number 5 is Wild. Wild stars Reese Witherspoon and Laura Dern, who make such a great mother-daughter duo. I love Laura
Somehow
Dern.
Reese Witherspoon looks like she can be Laura Dern's daughter.
I know!
Like,
she still looks like she can,
young.
like, pull off her Legally Blonde days.
Yeah.
And Laura Dern is just such a mom. I love her. The daughter goes on a hike in
Like through America? I don't know.
Some like big major trail. She goes on and it takes like
yeah,
what,
she goes
like
on a big trail.
3 months or something to go through.
Yeah.
It takes a long time, and she like faces challenges that she has to overcome, and she has to overcome stuff in her own life, like drug addiction and just a lot of bad stuff that she wants to put behind her. So she goes on this journey to like cleanse herself. I just love like watching people in most primal state, you know, just like connecting with themselves, trying to find out who they are, really.
Yeah.
And like watching her just like by herself for a lot of the movie was, it just, I don't know, really cool thing to see on screen.
I loved Wild too. It used to be my top 10.
Too. I also cried in this movie.
I cried in this movie too.
A lot.
My number 5 of the year is Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is...
Thumbs up.
Yeah. Nightcrawler is a film that stars Jake Gyllenhaal as Lou Bloom, who I will maintain to be a character who will become legendary. He's probably my favorite character in any film of this year.
Probably this year, he's my favorite character.
And Jake Gyllenhaal is perfect in it, and it's he's basically
like you love him and hate him at the same time.
Yeah, he's like the best anti-hero.
You feel bad about liking him, but
yeah, he really gets you on his side. He's just this like. He's not really anybody at the beginning of the movie. He's someone who is just wants a job and who's kind of self-educated and who's been taking all these like business courses online and stuff. And he knows how to get what he wants. And he manages to find his way into the business of night crawling, which is just like shooting video of crime scene footage. And it takes place in LA, so it's like a huge scene for crime and car accidents and all this sort of stuff. And the lengths that he goes to in order to get this footage and to come out on top is just very, like, heartless almost. Yeah. He just has no compassion. He's, like, compassionless for humanity in general. And at the same time, he has this relationship with a woman who works at the news station who's played by Renee Russo, who's also really great in this movie. And it's just this really great social commentary about not just the media, but even about like business language and how to like succeed and how people like how to go to any length really to do what it is you need to do to be successful. And there's a lot of, like, I think on the surface it looks like this big media piece, and then I started reading all about this, like, capitalism, about the film, and all this stuff, and just how, like, for me, it was really about, like, being desensitized to violence and crime, and how that is so much a part of this movie, how a human being can just not care anymore, or, like, we're exposed to it so much, or our world is so full of it that we just, it's just not even anything. It doesn't even faze us anymore, and that's kind of what Lou Bloom epitomized for me. And this movie is just really brilliant. And the car chase scene, like the ending scene, is one of the best I've ever seen. Yeah.
Also, his partner.
Yeah, Riz Ahmed.
Yeah, great
as
actor,
Rick, he's also great. All the acting, like every aspect of this film is just like perfect, and I absolutely love it.
It was a perfect film.
Yeah.
My number 4. Okay, I take it back. This is probably my most controversial choice. Interstellar is my number 4 of the year. Mainly because I just had a perfect viewing experience. Do you, know if when you go to the theater and you just have that, perfect... I really loved Interstellar, and I'm not going to go into, a debate war about why and why not. It was great. Matthew McConaughey, I would say this is probably, my favorite role.
He's really good in it.
He's really good in it. I'm not the biggest fan of his, but he was perfect for this. Jessica Chastain is always perfect in my book.
Yeah, she's always perfect.
The little kid that plays Murph is really great. I love her. Basically everyone in the movie except for Matt Damon's little
Matt Damon nearly ruins
little cameo that just took me out of it a little bit, but this movie is great. I love Christopher Nolan. He can do no wrong, really, in my eyes. So
my number 4 is Listen Up, Philip. Listen Up, Philip is an indie comedy directed by Alex Ross Perry, and I really just like his films in general. He also did The Color Wheel. if anyone knows that movie. This film has a really incredible cast. Jason Schwartzman is the lead, playing Philip, and it's probably his best role to date, and I'm a big fan of Jason Schwartzman, so that's like saying a lot.
I love him.
Yeah,
He's
so good. He's like so easy to hate in this movie, but like I still liked his character. Like, I don't know, there's something about him for me, it's just like he was just so good at it, like so good at being despicable that I just liked the fact that he was like that. I don't know. And Elizabeth Moss, who I don't watch Mad Men, so I feel like watching this movie and also watching another really good movie from this year, The One I Love, exposed me to her because I had never seen her act in anything before, and oh my god, she's like such a great actress. I was so impressed with her in Listen Up Philip. Listen Up Philip is about Philip, who is a author. He gets this opportunity to live with this other author who he like admires a lot. It's kind of just like this question about artists, and if you have made one amazing piece of art in your life, does that kind of excuse you for being not a great person in your like as a father or as a husband or as whatever it is in your life? It's kind of like that's the price you pay almost to be an artist, and it has a lot of like really grand themes in it, while at the same time just being such a sharp comedy. It's like incredibly funny. It has some of the best dialogue of any movie that I've seen this year, and all of the acting is just so good, and just the style of it. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you do that.
So my number 3 is Nightcrawler. It was my number 1 for a good chunk of the year. It was the storyline that was so different. I don't know, I've never seen
I've never seen anything like that before, really, either.
Again, the acting was great.
My number 3 is Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance.
Oh my god, I hate that.
Okay, the way it's filmed, first of all, it's all one, one
that was amazing
shot. So that was like an aspect of it that like I don't think I've ever seen in another movie. Again, it's another movie that's kind of about like art and artistry, and as well just like being acknowledged and what it means to like have to get recognition. And so much of this movie is about a man who just needs that recognition. He needs like confirmation that what he's doing is good or what he's doing is right. I guess, yeah, he's like reviving this play, but it's so intricate because everything is just a reference to another thing, like the fact that it's Michael Keaton playing an ex-superhero while he did that in his real life. And the play, what we talk about when we talk about love, it like the actual story of Birdman like mimics the play in the movie, and it's so layered and so intricate. And I mean, I see a lot of people complain about this movie. I follow way too many people on Twitter. I'm like, okay, I get it. Maybe you think it's like too much, but I thought like it just handled it really well. It all tied together really perfectly, and so many great moments. The cinematography, oh my god, like technically it's so beautiful. Like it's a beautiful movie, and it's filled with themes. Maybe it's not saying anything new, but I find it finds a new way to say all those things.
My number 2 was Mommy. Absolutely love this movie. The movie has one of my favorite scenes of the year in it. The fast forward scene when they fast forward through the boy's life. She's like dreaming about what could have been. Heartfelt, and I really enjoyed it. Yep. It was great. Also brought a lot of tears to my eyes.
My number 2 of this year is Boyhood. So I was really excited knowing about his project, which was formerly just called 12 Years, and I knew he'd been making this movie about a boy growing up, and the end result is such an amazing, I find, like such an amazing movie that even though it's not really about anything, I feel like it's really about everything. I don't have a childhood anything like Mason's, but it's still so relatable just in the moments of growing up that I think a lot of us have in common. Our childhoods are like really close to that because we went through the same time period and all that, and it's not even just about that, but it's the way that it captures time and the way that it captures these moments that aren't necessarily always the most dramatic, but that mean something to you because it's just like it's so real and so relatable, which I found like his relationship with his sister like reminded me of my relationship with my sister.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Like, it's not my favorite movie, but at some point through the movie you definitely find yourself connecting strongly to something that happened in this boy's life, whether it's like his parents' separation or just I don't know, like growing up
his relationship with his parents and like
that for me was the strongest aspect of the movie. But it's like it just pulls you in, and like
one moment in the movie that really like hit me was towards the end when Mason's going away to college and his mom is kind of breaking down and she says, "I just thought there would be more." And it's just like the way that this movie captures life. Not everything you could ever want or expect to happen in your life is what necessarily happens, and just to be left with this feeling that like, oh, like that was it. Like you watch this movie that's supposed to encapsulate a person's life or like a person's childhood, and it's like it's never really gonna meet
just like
the expectation of life, like the expectation,
the things that you think are gonna happen or whatever.
I felt like that, at least that moment of the film just really like said something that was like, whoa, like we all live this life and it's like we think that everything is gonna happen the way we want it to, or that like everything's gonna work out the way we want it to, but it doesn't. And that's what this movie is about. It's just all these little moments in between. I think Richard Linklater is just a master, like in the way that he depicts time. Boyhood is just a masterful film that I don't think anyone will forget for a long time. It's obviously going to be a staple in filmmaking, but it's also such a great, relatable and fun and everything kind of film.
Number one is, for me,
very appropriate.
Very appropriate. Whiplash is my number one of the year. This movie is amazing. From the cast to the story to my personal connection with it.
Me too. I agree with that.
Being musicians, I feel like that was an added layer of
we both went to music school together, actually. So, like...
Aw, chums.
He's, like, in his first year of, like, college
First year
or whatever.
of college in, like, the most prestigious music school in America. I guess it's supposed to be, like, Juilliard. So he's, like, a drummer in a jazz program at the school, played by Miles Teller. Conductor guy who conducts like the most prestigious jazz band at the school is played by J.K. Simmons, who is phenomenal.
He's so good.
So good.
He's so good. He's so good in everything. Finally, he gets some recognition.
He deserves this recognition.
Yeah.
But his character, as much of an asshole, like an asshole that he is, I still kind of liked him.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know.
It's another anti-hero kind of situation.
Yeah, so it's just about Miles Teller in this band, like the process of him learning these songs in the band and his relationship with his teacher. J.K. Simmons really like pushes him, he wants to find his Charlie Parker.
Mm-hmm.
And he pushes you to the extent that some might find a little a little too unconventional, a little too aggressive maybe in his approaches of inspiring his students to find the best in themselves. I didn't really think it was uncalled for, all of the things that he was doing. I can relate on some levels to having a mentor that wants to get the best out of you. Mm-hmm. Maybe not by throwing a chair at my head, but I don't know, the music in this movie is amazing, obviously. I love jazz. I don't love to play jazz because it's very scary. This was definitely...
Yeah, and Whiplash is great. It didn't make my list, but it's a great movie.
It's a great... It's a fun time.
Oh, it's so
to
fun.
Watch all the time. You just get into it. The last scene of the movie
is awesome.
You're just like, my heart's racing. As he's like sweating and bleeding all over the drum kit. I'm just like, oh my god.
My number one of 2014 is 2 Days, 1 Night. 2 Days, 1 Night is a Belgian film. It's by the Dardenne brothers. 2 Days, 1 Night follows Sandra, played by Marion Cotillard, who is my favorite female performance
Sandra,
of this
that's
year.
what I say.
Sandra. As a woman who has just gone through depression and who has been taking like a sick leave from her job at a factory at it's like a unionized place, and upon coming back to her job, finds out that they had a vote for all of her coworkers had to vote whether to keep her on or to have their bonus because the company couldn't afford to do both. And so she gets let go. She earns the right to get a revote, and the whole film is the 2 days and 1 night that it takes her to approach all of her coworkers, and she says it's like begging, but she has to basically ask them to vote for her to keep her job because she won't be able to support her family anymore if she loses it. And it's, for me, why I love it so much and why it's my number one of the year. It's a really simple premise, a really simple story, and it even sounds like it would be boring, but the heart of it is the choice to do something in favor of yourself or to help someone who really needs it. It's people who they need this bonus too. It's not like they're all being greedy or like it's not even about that. It's just about making a self-sacrifice on behalf of someone else. And the way that the movie goes about it and the way that it concludes is just so satisfying. It's not even like anything you'd expect it. Like, I didn't expect the ending. It's not really a happy or a sad ending. It's just like such a satisfying ending, especially for this character. And Sandra, I think, is just such a strong female character. Like, she's weak. She's strong in her weakness. She's just gone through depression. She's already like in a fragile state, and here she is in this position where she has to really go out of her comfort zone, and like I'd say that'd be out of any like normal person's comfort zone to, you know, kind of plead with all these people who she necessarily doesn't even have a good relationship with to do something that's like so vital to her living. And it's almost uncomfortable, but to see her go through this and have to like face all these different people who have completely different reactions to the situation, to have it be like a journey for her emotionally as well as just her trying to get her job back. It's something more like within the character that she like really surpasses within herself, to like have the confidence and to like have the self-worth again, because she feels so worthless at the beginning of the movie, and by the end it's like this like journey that like she goes through that I think is just so moving, and all of the characters around her are so great, and so much of like what it says just about humanity I think is so important, and it made me cry a lot like both times that I watched it. It's just a very, very moving film, like resonated on another level with me, because of like how bravely and how beautifully it depicts this situation. So yeah, that's my number one film of the year, 2 Days, 1 Night, and Simone's is Whiplash. And this was a very long conversation, so thank you very much for watching if you stayed with us for the whole time. Fresh from the Theater is our website. Go there to find the rest of everyone on the site's top 10s. We've all written some stuff about the movies we loved most this year, and if you could share with us the movies that you loved the most this year, we can start a conversation about it. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Movies. Go watch these movies. We just gave you like 30 movies that you could go see that are all really, really brilliant, and I just thought 2014 was such a great year. So yeah, thank you so much, and go to freshfromthetheater.com for more reviews and more top 10 and more end of the year of 2014 stuff. Thank you again. Thanks, Simone, for joining me in this top 10 list.